Tonight, the place we will wander through together is a strange and beautiful old tale. It is Kim Si-seup's Geumo Sinhwa, The Tales of Mount Geumo, a poignant love that crosses the boundary between the living and the dead, and the mysterious records of a night where reality and dreams entwine in a hazy illusion. Under the pale moonlight, the sad yet beautiful stories of wandering spirits will guide you into a deep and distant dreamscape tonight. Let the cool night breeze blow away all the heavy burdens of reality you have carried throughout the day. And now, with the clock of the real world paused for a moment, simply listen to this mysterious tale. For your peaceful sleep as the story begins, the screen will slowly fade to dark, guiding you to a quiet rest. Now, let go of all your complicated thoughts and close your eyes. Let us journey together into the deeply mysterious and sorrowful night of Mount Geumo. Manboksa Jeopogi, the game of Jeopo at Manboksa Temple, tailored for a peaceful night's rest. Part 1. The Lonely Scholar and the Moonlit Pear Tree. In the southern province of Jeolla, in the town of Namwon, there lived a young man named Yang-saeng. Having lost his parents at an early age and remaining unwed, he lived a quiet, solitary life in the eastern wing of a temple called Manboksa. Just outside his window stood a single pear tree. As spring arrived, the pear blossoms burst into full bloom, looking as though a tree carved of pure jade had been gently dusted with white silver snow. On nights when the moon rose bright and clear, Yang-saeng would pace beneath the pear tree, reciting poetry into the crisp night air. A single pear tree soothes my loneliness. Alas, how painful it is to spend this brightly moonlit night, all alone. To this quiet window, where a young man lies by himself. From where does the sweet melody of a bamboo flute drift? A lonely kingfisher flies off without its mate, and a widowed mandarin duck wades in the clear river. Who is tapping the ghost stones, waiting for a promised love? Deep into the night, I divine my fate by the lamplight, leaning against the window in sorrow. Just as he finished his verse, a mysterious voice drifted down from the empty air. If you truly desire a good mate, why do you worry that your wish will not be fulfilled? Hearing this, a profound joy blossomed in Yang-saeng's heart. Part 2. A Wager with the Heavens. The very next day was the 24th of March. It was a local custom that on this day, men and women would gather at Manboksa Temple, bowing to the Buddha and the pagoda, praying for their deepest wishes to come true. As evening fell, and the footsteps of the crowds faded into a deep silence, Yang-saeng took out a set of Jopo dice from his sleeve. He threw them onto the altar before the Buddha and spoke. Tonight, I wish to play a game of Jopo with you, great Buddha. If you win, I shall host a grand feast and offer you a lavish tribute. But if I win, please grant me a beautiful maiden and fulfill the wish of my lifetime. Having made his vow, Yang-saeng cast the dice, and indeed, he won. Overjoyed, he knelt before the Buddha. The Buddha never speaks empty words. Please, do not forsake the promise you have made to me. Then he slipped into the dark shadows beneath the altar, holding his breath and waiting. Part 3. The Maiden's Sorrowful Prayer. Not long after, a beautiful maiden suddenly stepped into the quiet temple hall. She appeared to be about 15 or 16, her hair braided into two neat tails. Her gentle grace was like that of a fairy descended from the heavens. She placed incense before the Buddha, bowed 3 times, and then let out a long, sorrowful sigh, weeping softly. From her robes she drew a written prayer and laid it upon the altar. It read, "A maiden of the Ha family speaks to the world-honored one. In days past, when the border defenses crumbled and pirates invaded, beacon fires burned every year, and the flash of blades was ever before our eyes. People fled to the fields and hid in the deep forests. I, too, was separated from my parents and lost my way. Though I managed to protect my frail body and my honor seeking refuge in a remote field, 3 years have now passed, enduring solitary nights filled with deep sorrow and endless despair. Under autumn dew and winter frost, I wept with a breaking heart. Whenever I saw the spring flowers or the autumn moon, I could only gaze into the distance, trying to soothe my shattered soul. This single life is like a passing cloud, and my lonely footsteps are as fleeting as a dry leaf. Merciful Buddha, please have pity on this wretched life, and look upon me with secret grace. Accept my deepest sincerity, tie, and let me swiftly cut the karmic ties of this world. Finishing her prayer, the maiden wept aloud, as if she were ready to let go of life itself. Watching her from beneath the altar, Yang-saeng could no longer hold back his surging emotions. He stepped out carefully, gently consoled her, and asked in a quiet voice, "My lady, why have you written the prayer you placed upon the altar?" Part 4. A Dreamlike Encounter. Seeing her words, Yang-saeng's face filled with joy as he cautiously asked, "Who might you be, my lady, to come here alone on such a night?" The maiden softly replied, "I too am human. Why do you doubt and find it so strange? You need only find a good mate. There is no need to ask my family name or given name. Why do you put the end before the beginning?" At that time, the temple was old and decaying. The monks stayed in a far corner, and only a lonely corridor remained before the main hall. At the end of this corridor was a very narrow wooden room. Yang-saeng led the maiden inside, and she did not pull away. There the two shared their affections and spent the night together, no different from any other lovers in the mortal world. Soon it was midnight. The moon rose over the eastern hills, casting the shadows of branches against the window. Suddenly, footsteps were heard outside. The maiden asked, "Who is there? Is it my maidservant?" A voice called back, "Yes, my lady. You never step past the middle gate, nor walk even a few paces. Yet yesterday evening you wandered out by chance. Why have you not returned even at this late hour?" The maiden answered, "Today's events are no mere accident. Heaven has helped, and the Buddha has blessed me to meet a wonderful gentleman and pledge 100 years together. Though marrying without my parents, blessing goes against proper ways. To meet like this and find such joy, is it not a miraculous destiny? Go quickly to our house and bring mats, wine, and fruit." The maidservant bowed and returned, setting up a feast in the courtyard. It was around 4 in the morning. The tables and bowls were simple and unadorned, but the fragrance of the food and wine was unlike anything of the human world. Yang-saeng found this strange in his heart. But her words and laughter were so clear and beautiful, her manner so relaxed and elegant. He simply assumed she was a maiden from a noble family, who had climbed the wall for a midnight stroll, and doubted no further. Part 5. The Songs of the Spirits. As the wine flowed, the maiden asked her servant to sing a song and turned to Yang-saeng. "This child only knows old tunes. Would you, my lord, compose a poem yourself to lift our spirits?" Yang-saeng gladly agreed, composing a verse for the maid to sing. "The cold spring breeze pierces the thin silk blouse. Before the burning incense my heart aches. Dark clouds gather thick over the evening mountains. Lying matless on a lonely bed, I only play my flute. The fleeting years leave me hollow. Deep sorrow fills my heart. The lamp flickers, the silver screen is too short. Weeping alone, to whom can I pour out my soul? But joy, tonight, a warm spring breeze blows, breaking the eternal sorrow held for so long. Tipping my silver cup to a soft song, I cast away those sleepless nights by the lonely guest window." When the song ended, the maiden spoke with a tender, mournful look. "In the past, our destinies missed each other, but to meet again here today, is it not the grace of heaven? If you do not abandon me, I will fulfill my duties as your wife to the end. But if you forsake my wish, we shall be separated forever, like clouds and mud, never to meet again." His heart swelling, Yang-saeng replied, "How could I ever disobey your words?" Yet the maiden's demeanor seemed faintly unearthly. Soon the moon hung over the western peaks, and the cry of roosters drifted from a distant village. As the faint light of dawn approached with the temple bell, the maiden spoke to her servant. "Child, clear the table and go ahead. We come by fate, and we vanish by fate. No one knows where we go." Part 6. 3 days like 3 years. She turned to Yang-saeng. "Our destiny is set. Let us walk hand in hand." As they walked through the village, dogs barked from the fences, and early travelers passed by. But the passers-by did not see the maiden at all. They only asked Yang-saeng, "Where are you returning from so early in the morning?" Yang-saeng replied, "I fell asleep drunk at Manboksa, and am now heading to an old friend's house." The morning dew clung to the grass as she led him down a rough, untrodden path. Why is the place you live so rugged? He asked. She smiled faintly. The home of a lonely woman is naturally like this. They finally arrived at a place called Gyeongdong. The fields were overgrown with weeds, and thorny brambles pierced the sky. There stood a small, yet breathtakingly beautiful house. Inside, the bedding and curtains were arranged just as they had been the night before. Yang-saeng stayed there for 3 days, experiencing the joy of a lifetime. He thought to himself, this might not be the human world, but her affection was so deep and profound, he had no desire to ever return to his own home. Finally, the maiden spoke. 3 days here are like 3 years in the human world. You must return home now and tend to your life. She prepared a farewell feast. Overcome with sorrow, Yang-saeng asked, why must our parting be so soon? We will meet again to fulfill our lifelong wish, she replied. Your coming to this humble place was surely a destiny from our past lives. She called her 4 neighbors to join them, maidens named Jong, Oh, Kim, and Yu. They were elegant, gentle, and brilliant with words. One by one, they recited poems of parting, lamenting the fleeting nature of love, the sorrow of being bound to a silent mountain, and the tragedy of a life cut short like a falling flower. As the feast drew to a close, the maiden brought out a silver bowl and handed it to Yang-saeng. Tomorrow, my parents will hold a memorial service for me at Boryonsa Temple. If you have not abandoned me, please wait by the road, and let us go to the temple together to meet them. Part 7. A Final Farewell and a Mountain's Embrace. The next day, holding the silver bowl, Yang-saeng waited by the road. Soon, a grand procession of carriages and horses approached, led by a noble family heading to Boryonsa Temple for their deceased daughter's memorial. When the parents saw the young scholar holding the silver bowl, the very bowl they had buried in their daughter's grave, they were shocked. Yang-saeng told them everything. Tearfully, the parents explained, we had but one daughter, who lost her life during the pirate invasions. Unable to give her a proper burial, we laid her in a temporary grave near Gyeongdong Temple. Today is the anniversary of her passing. If you have made a promise, please wait for her and do not be afraid. Right on time, the maiden approached, her servant trailing behind. Only Yang-saeng could see her. Together, they walked into the temple. As they sat beneath a white veil, the sound of her spoon and chopsticks clinking against the bowls echoed just as it would in the human world. When midnight came, a soft, mournful whisper drifted from behind the veil. I know I have broken the laws of the underworld. After being abandoned in the wild for so long, I suddenly formed a karmic bond with you, my lord. I wish to be your wife forever, but my karma is fixed, and the path to the underworld is set. Our joy has barely begun, yet this sad farewell comes so fast. Once we part, we shall hardly meet again. Her weeping faded as she reached the temple gates, leaving behind a faint song. The limits of the underworld are absolute. I leave you in sorrow. I beg of you, my lord, do not forget me. Her voice dissolved into the distant air. Realizing the profound tragedy of his ghost bride, Yang-saeng wept bitterly with her parents. They gifted him land and servants, asking him to keep her memory alive. The next day, Yang-saeng gathered food and wine and visited her lonely grave. He burned paper money, gave her a proper burial, and offered a heart-wrenching elegy. He then sold all his land and his home, dedicating 3 full days of Buddhist prayers to her soul. At last, her clear voice echoed from the sky. Thanks to your prayers, my lord, I have been reborn as a man in another realm. Though divided by life and death, I am deeply grateful. Please cleanse your karma so we may escape this cycle of rebirth together. Yang-saeng never married. He wandered deep into the heart of the Jirisan Mountains to gather wild herbs, and what became of him no one ever knew.